Wash my teeth up, wash my face.
A good beer often comes down to balance, with hops, malt, and yeast character blending together in a seamless array of flavors, aromas, and mouthfeel. Today, I'm brewing a style that will need a delicate balance of all of these things. And while the ingredients are relatively simple, the challenges of brewing a worthy example of this style are great. I like my current system. It works for me. But I've been exploring other options lately. We'll get back to that in a minute. Let's get to this beer first. For today's beer, I'll be brewing a Kölsch style. Now, I have to say Kölsch style because technically, it can't be a Kölsch unless it's brewed in Cologne, Germany. But being as it's hard to find a good example here where I live, I thought I'd give it a shot myself. After filling my kettle with just short of 9 gallons, I started heating up my strike water and prepared my grains. The grain bill for this is 90% Pilsner Malt, 7% Carapils, and 3% white wheat. While the water is heating is also a great time to get my water additions ready. For this, I started with RO water and added 3.2 grams calcium chloride, 0.8 grams Epsom salt, and 0.9 grams of gypsum. I also added 4 milliliters of lactic acid during the mash to help bring down the pH. Speaking of pH, I used Brewfather to calculate my water additions, and for this recipe it was calculating 5.42 after 4 milliliters of lactic acid. Yet my pH meter read 5.7. I was worried that the higher pH would affect the crisp finish of the beer later on down the line. I guess I'll just have to wait and see. In my research for this beer, I found that most recipes recommend just a single infusion mash of 149 degrees Fahrenheit to produce a more fermentable wort to help dry out that finish. Okay, so let's get back to my current equipment situation. I've been using a 15-gallon kettle with brew in a bag over propane for about a year now, and in most cases, it works fine. However, there have been a few times recently where I've tried to do a more detailed step mash schedule, and I feel like propane is not great for that. It seems these days that an all-in-one electric system may be the way to go. I think after eyeing many BrewTubers setups, that it may be time to take the plunge to electric. Hey, if you have an electric system, let me know what you have and how you like it in the comments. After an hour of mashing, I discovered I had more wort than planned with a lower gravity than expected. I decided to just boil this one for an extra 20 minutes to get my numbers closer to what they should be. Time to pull that bag and get boiling. I try not to waste my spent grains. I've made dog treats and I've used them as compost, but today it was treat day for the chickens, and boy do they enjoy them. And that extra 20 minutes of boiling was the perfect time to sanitize my fermenter. After 20 extra minutes of boil time, it was time for my 60-minute addition, 1 ounce of Tettnang. And the extra 20-minute boil got me to my expected pre-boil gravity of 1037. I added my wort chiller at 15 minutes along with a Whirlfloc tablet and half a teaspoon of yeast nutrient. I had 2 more hop additions, one at 10 minutes, the other at 5. Both were 1 ounce of Saaz. It was a colder morning, so I was able to chill my wort to about 65 degrees Fahrenheit over 40 minutes and transfer to my FermZilla all-rounder. After a little low-tech oxygenation, it was time to pitch. I used Wyeast 2565 Kölsch for this, and plan to ferment at 60 degrees Fahrenheit until final gravity is reached, or at least close. Then raise it to 68 degrees Fahrenheit for a few days for a diacetyl rest. Time to place it in my fermentation chamber and clean up. But first, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful weather we're having. When it comes to getting a beer from grain to glass, I can sometimes lack a little patience. This Kölsch yeast definitely tried my patience. And I know fermenting an ale at 60 degrees is naturally going to take more time. And Wyeast 2565 is a notoriously poor flocculator, and this batch sat with a thick Krausen on top for 12 days. Wait, hold up. Did you say 12 days? Okay, so here's probably what happened. I got lazy, and I should have made a starter. Thankfully, it did eventually reach its final gravity of 1010, and once I started to bring the temp down, the Krausen did drop. I fined this with gelatin in the fermenter for 24 hours to help speed the clearing process. Then, I did my usual pressure transfer to a CO2 purged keg. I put the keg in my beer fridge, hooked it up to gas, set the pressure to 35 psi, and left it there overnight to carb up. This beer ended with an ABV of 4.7, had a light sulfury aroma with some fruity sweetness, and the smell actually kind of reminded me of a sweet white wine. It had a touch of floral hop bitterness with a smooth, light, grainy flavor, and it finished with a pleasant acidic tang that faded quickly. It was very refreshing and kept me heading back for more. And although I didn't get the clarity I was hoping for from this yeast, I'd have to say in terms of drinkability, this beer ranks pretty high on my list. This is the perfect beer for cruising into the weekend. Thanks for watching.